All right. Hey, look at that. We're live. It's the huge live. We've got Paul Baluch. I always fear that I'm saying your last name wrong. Baluch? Baluch.
Yeah,
Baluch.
yeah, you got it. It's good.
Baluch. Okay, good. Good. And Paul, you're the guy with Holiday Lights Academy. You started that. How long ago? Has that been 3 years, 4 years? When did you start Holiday Lights Academy?
Yeah, founded in 2023, so this would be the third year that we're running with the Holiday Lights Academy.
Okay. Okay, cool. And where are you located?
I am based in Vancouver in Canada,
Okay.
but a lot of our team is based throughout the U.S., whether it's Colorado Springs or Seattle or elsewhere. But I myself am based in Vancouver, Canada.
Okay. And what's your gentleman's name? Is it James? Has the beautiful mustache. And he was my trainer.
John Mark.
John. Okay. Yeah, John Mark. All right.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Okay. So for when people watch this or jump on, I want them to know that some of your background. So a little bit of background. You come from the franchise world to a large degree. You worked with 1-800-GOT-JUNK and helped in there. You were part of the team when the growth went from 10 million in revenue to 100 million in revenue. Worked with Shack Shine, which is window cleaning. Are they predominantly a Canadian company? Shack Shine, the franchise, or are they all over the U.S. as well?
No, both are predominantly all over the U.S. Both 1-800-GOT-JUNK and Shack Shine. Way more locations in the U.S. compared to Canada.
Okay, and then House Doctors, right? Another franchise company. What services did House Doctors run?
Yeah, House Doctors is part of Premium Service Brands, so they own 10 brands. House Doctors is one of them, and that's a handyman franchise. So any sort of small odd job handyman type work would be done by House Doctors.
Okay. So that all right. That's it. I didn't know that. So one of the things that I noted with you is that you're really good with systems, and you come from, like when you scale, when any business scales, like from 10 to 100 million, from 1 to 10 million, you've got to have systems in place that make it work, or it's just going to be utter freaking chaos, and somebody will die. I mean, it's not going to be pretty unless you're systematized. How did House Doctors systematize handyman stuff? Because to me, that just seems like there's 8,000 variables to deal with. Are we patching drywall? Are we fixing a pipe? What are we doing? Everything?
It's funny. And the approach is really similar to what we did at 1-800-GOT-JUNK and Shack Shine. It's really a relentless focus on standardizing your operational processes and then simplification. If you look at even 1-800-GOT-JUNK, it seems simple now, but that's because the industry has been simplified. But there's so many options to go look at, and 1-800-GOT-JUNK specifically, it's a full service junk removal brand. At the time when I was there, we chose not to do tip bins. We chose not to do a bunch of things that weren't full service junk removal because those things could complicate the model. So we chose to keep it really simple and straightforward. Same thing with Shack Shine. Same thing with, if you look at House Doctors. Yeah, handyman, there's 1,000 things you could do. You could do tiling one day, you could do drywall repair, you could do painting one day, you could do some exterior landscaping the next. There's lots of things to do. But we're really focused on like 10 core services that we marketed for and bid on Google Ads and built relationships in local communities and marketed those services. And those core services were standardized across all the locations. We had training videos, documentation, processes. We own those 10 core services. And outside of that, if a franchisee had an electrician on their team or some special skill on their team, they could choose to do the other services. But really, most of our revenue was just those 10 core services that were really, we got the most traffic for on Google Ads or SEO. Most jobs were done over years of data that we looked at. So we looked at it that way, analyzed that, and really just focused on, Pareto principle, 80-20, 80% of your revenue is, done by just 20% of the services. So we really focused on that small subset of services.
Yeah. Did that make it simpler to market?
It did. It really positioned us as the experts in those 10 services. And at times in handyman service, customers would ask us for a complicated job or something that's outside of that scope. It's okay to say no. You can't be everything to everybody. And it's okay to say no and connect them with somebody who is an expert in that field. But it made it a lot easier to acquire customers, to market our services. It was a lot cheaper too. But really, it was the adage of keeping it simple. And then once we simplified it, we relentlessly developed systems, processes, training, documentation for those services.
Yeah.
Then we can execute them flawlessly.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Dean Jackson, Joe Polish, kind of the marketing duo? I love marketing. Yes. Yeah. So, and Dean, he's old school. I learned about from him decades ago. You remember the Yellow Pages?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Yellow Pages. So they're talking about, having your distinct selling proposition and how to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. And they talk about Yellow Page. Let's play Yellow Pages roulette. So you just open Yellow Pages and go. What if you go plumbers? You're like, read every plumber's ad, and if you couldn't differentiate except for any other thing except for the name of the business, like Paul's Plumbing, we do this and this, and then so is Plumbing, best prices, but they're all the same. I remember doing that one time, and I don't recall what business it was, but they literally said, we specialize in everything. It was like, how?
Yeah.
Do that. Yeah.
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 It's even if you look at 1-800-GOT-JUNK, when Brian Scudamore founded in 1989, you should see his first business card. It said exactly that. We do everything, one stop for everything. It said painting, rubbish removal, yard work, anything you can imagine.
Yeah.
But that at the time, that can't scale. And the key to scalability and profitability is keeping it simple and having set processes for everything. So, you can't be everything to everybody, and it's really hard to be everything. So, been there with many brands I've been with.
Yeah, no, that's cool. All right, so with the transition into when you started Holiday Lights Academy, and I have a bias because I'm a customer of yours as well. So I went through the training last year, but when you started that, why did you decide this was the way to go? And I guess I should have mentioned in the part of the intro is that you added holiday lighting to Shack Shine, and you brought that to $15 million revenue overall in about 4 years. So you have experience in the holiday lighting industry in that way, but then you started a training academy. What's the need in the marketplace? Why is that important to just have training?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I was at Shack Shine from 2015 to 2022. 22 is when I exited. But during my time at Shack Shine back in 2015, we launched Holiday Lights. And back then, there wasn't many doing those holiday light services. There was just a few people getting into it. It wasn't professionalized yet. If you look at, the painting industry 30 years ago, you look at the junk removal industry 30 years ago, they were really professionalized at that time. Holiday lighting is just starting to be professionalized. So with Shack Shine in 2015, I saw the huge opportunity that nobody was really jumping on yet. Mm-hmm. And we scaled it really quickly with Shack Shine to $15 million in a few short years. And after I exited Shack Shine, I realized the huge potential in holiday lights and how we're in this sort of hockey stick of growth where it's being professionalized, lots more companies getting into it. And the idea with the Holiday Lights Academy was to provide standardized training in a model so we can all grow the industry bigger, better together. So there's a better offering for customers and standardize the way we approach the industry. So it's professionalized a lot better, really bringing the benefits of the franchising model to small business owners who want to add holiday lights.
So I want to dig into that more, but what have you seen? What are the main differences between the way that guys think in franchise world in your background and the way that guys think mostly in, like, if they're a power washing company, they want to add holiday lights, I don't want to say they're rogue, but it's a guy that's bootstrapped his own business. So what's the big difference in their way of thinking, franchise versus the solo do-it-yourself guy that's grown the company?
And there's no right or wrong. Different models fit different people, and some models work great for some people and others work great for other people. But I'd say the main difference is franchising provides you like a a formwork within a framework. You have this model, this system that if you're able to execute that, you can generally scale your business a lot faster than if you're trying to do it alone, because you have that framework that you can operate in. And the biggest difference I've noticed that the framework franchising provides not only the community and the knowledge, know-how, and systems, but it also gives you that ability to speak with a business coach or a mentor and think more strategically in your business instead of being stuck in the day-to-day, in the weeds, really working in the business. Whereas the model of franchising helps you work on the business and think strategically, build out a business plan, think long-term, have a vision. And that's what it allows you really to do. So we brought that same model to the Holiday Lights Academy to help business owners think that way, think strategically, write out down a business plan, develop a vision, get access to the community that they necessarily wouldn't have on their own, and also get access to systems, resources, training that they'd have to figure out on their own. So it's really bringing the great things of franchising, let's say, that structure, that framework, that support into the Holiday Lights Academy that business owners can execute. And we find that members of the Holiday Lights Academy, or even similar training programs for lights or other services, tend to be more profitable and scale their business faster because they have that support, that framework.
Yeah, it makes sense. We're in the world of scaling and simplicity. I'm going to go way back in time. I started cleaning windows about 30 years ago. I had one noble vision and passion, and that was to pay my rent. Like, I got to make rent. I've got 2 weeks to make $400. So I have my neighbor clean windows. I'm like, hey, could you show me how to do that? Well, it's just a hustle. And after a couple of years, like, I got into, like, I probably had 15, 20 different size squeegees. I had a different size squeegee. I was trying to get a squeegee that would fit every window. So I could just, like, one stroke instead of two or whatever. And it was so complex and so dumb, but I thought it was brilliant until I started hiring people and go, okay, here's your, and I was like, well, crap, do I have to get 15 squeegees for every new hire? Or, I just had it so complex, even as something as simple as window cleaning. And then we dug back, we were like, no, really all you need in that bucket, you need 2 wands, 4 squeegees, a scraper, and that's it. You're like, don't make it, you don't need 15,000 things. So back to, I asked you the question about the handyman business, like, how do you systematize that? And you're like, get it down to your core 10 and then focus like crazy on that. The Holiday Lights, in a lot of ways, seems like there's a lot of variables that you could do. You could go from Grinch to Griswold and install. How does Holiday Lights Academy, like, where do you put the focus on? Like, what's the 20% from the 80-20 rule?
Yeah, it's a great question. Something we realized early on in the days of Shackshine, where the opportunities and the options are endless in Holiday Lights. You can offer so many different types of bulbs, C9, C6, C7, G30. There's so many to offer, different bases, different types of wire, different spacing, different colors of 5mm landscape light strings, different structures. And it's endless what you can do. And we quickly realized at Shackshine, and we've even taken that over into the Holiday Lights Academy, again, simplicity is the key to scaling and profitability. For example, we had a member 2 years ago, it was their first year doing Holiday Lights, and they did the Holiday Lights Academy. They did $1 million in their first year.
No way.
All they offered was white wire, C9, warm white, multicolor. That's it for house lights and building lights. Yeah. And then for landscape lights, all they did was warm white, green wire, 5mm strings, and then multicolor, green wire, 5mm strings. That's it. Yeah. They basically had 5 SKUs they offered, did $1 million in their first year. And some people might look at it saying, well, you're going to lose customers because you're not offering what they want and you're not offering them all the options. But customers don't need all the options. We're the experts, and they would listen to your design direction and the decisions that you help them make. And a lot of times, the customers that want the complicated display aren't your profitable customers. So you have to narrow down on those simple customers, the simple designs. And that company, for example, did $1 million in their first year. So the key to that was identifying your market. Let's go with the rule of 10. What are the 10 SKUs you can offer that are responsible for 80% of your revenue? The Pareto principle. And if you're able to identify that and get rid of the worst performing 20, you're going to grow your revenue, make more money, because then you become an expert and you specialize in that certain area. And you're not worrying about managing inventory or marketing for this subset of customers or dealing with these types of problems. You're just dialing in on what you're great at and what's the most profitable for you too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We've got one of the vendors come to the show this year, Novelty Lights out of Denver, and brilliant. And I had the principal on the show, and I went through the website, and it's like, it's phenomenal how many options there are for holiday lights, and even down to, like, you could go, hey, you can get the bulb that has a filament that looks like a snowflake.
Yeah.
Or you can get a filament that looks like an elf. And I was like, it's phenomenal, but it's so overwhelming from an installer point of view. I was like, there's zero chance I'd be able to manage that type of inventory. Like, ever. I would probably consider suicide. I don't think I'd do it, but it remarkably complex. So I want to, I'm going to see if I can do it quickly and pull up your website.
Yeah, of course.
Let me see if I can do share screen and find it. I'm not super great at this, but share screen, Holiday Lights Academy. So this is to me, can you see it on the screen?
I can see it. Yep.
Okay, great. Living, breathing example of simplicity. And this was part of why I chose to do training with you guys last year. It's this simple. It's Holiday Lights Academy. It's about your business. Why do you use you guys? 1, 2, 3. Seasonality, leverage existing customers, increase your profit. It's not like 80 reasons to do anything. And then here's some, here are the numbers, and here's some reviews, and you got questions, and here you go, what's included. You got 6 items, I believe. And then probably just sign up. Like I was.
Yeah, learn more. Yeah.
That to me, all right. So now I'm leading to a question by sharing that. Let me see if I can. So the question is this: it's been attributed to Mark Twain, to Abraham Lincoln, a bunch of different people, but there's a little quote said, "I would have written a shorter letter, but I didn't have time." It takes time to simplify. How do you think about the simplification process? Whether it was building Holiday Lights Academy or adding Holiday Lights to Shack Shine, like, do you have a framework, or is it innately like part of the way you're hardwired?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. And it comes just from years of observing what makes a business scale and be profitable and provide success. And if you look at all the businesses out there, you could look at as far as, like, let's go with a simple one, In-N-Out Burger. They have a menu of 10 items. Look at Tesla. They only have a couple models with not many options, and it's pretty basic. You compare those to some of their market rivals, like any other car company, there's different options, trim, leather, wheels. It complicates it a lot. Same with other burger places. There's many other examples like that too. So if you look at case studies about what makes businesses scale, what provides the best customer experience, and what makes them profitable and grow, it's simplicity. And so it's not reinventing the wheel. It's not trying to make up a new strategy or direction for a business. It's what's worked in the past. And I mean, if you look at the Ford Model T, when Henry Ford scaled that business, and his famous line was, "You can have any color as long as it's black." So there's that simplicity element in everything. And it's nothing new we're making up here. It's just take the business. What's the business you're in? And how can we break it up into buckets? Is it 3 buckets? Is it 5? Into digestible chunks, let's say.
Yeah.
And look at each bucket, each digestible chunk, and let's simplify it to the point where anybody can understand it. And it makes it really easy to operate a business profitably. The customer gets the value proposition, and it's easy to execute from a technician or frontline employee perspective. If you look at it that way, any business can be simplified, but we as humans tend to be distracted by the shiny object and like to complicate things just because we're passionate, we love what we do. But in the end, it's really our world and not the customer's world. So we have to put ourselves in the customer's shoes and really simplify our business. And that's what will contribute to more profitability, more impact in the community, more revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. So fun little backstory last year when I was looking at training, and I was like, we got to get into holiday lights and do the thing, and started doing homework. And I looked at this company and that company and different suppliers and vendors, and quickly, like I hadn't even ordered a single light bulb, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. This is
Yeah.
complex. And then I looked at your training, and when I got into the training, the first couple of modules I went through, I literally, I don't mean this bad, but I was like, I was almost offended. I was like, how can this be so simple? Doesn't he know that there's 8 million options? And I got like 4 modules in. I was like, just we don't need 8 million options. You need the ones that work well. You can complicate it later if you're so inclined, but just it's like it's so I described it to a friend of mine as it's lean. It's
Hmm.
husked. It's like you separated the wheat from the chaff. Just give me the wheat. The rest of it, you can pick that stuff up later if you want. And I was like, it was startling to me the level of simplicity in not just like these are the products you can offer, but the system of managing your business. I was
Of
like,
course.
oh yeah, and I got really excited, and I'm really excited for this year because this will be our first actual go for it season. So,
With repeat revenue too, with the reinstalls coming on your schedule as well, I would
yeah,
imagine. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and the fact of simplicity, it's a fit for a lot of people, and not a fit for some too. We really work with the business owner who has scaling in mind. So our members have one thing in common: they're growing and scaling their business, and it's okay if a small business owner wants to do holiday lights because they're passionate about it and want to offer more products. Nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
But if a business owner that usually works with us at the Holiday Lights Academy is somebody who wants to scale and grow, you have to get rid of that passion project and really simplify it so then you can scale your business and still be profitable at that same time. So just depends whatever's a fit for most people.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, let's talk about the company that rolled from 0 to a million in a year, because I hear a lot of people go like they took 4 seasons, they got to 800,000. That's really good, but to go like from 0 to 120 in a year's time, what were they doing that was like? What did they do that was really good?
Mhm.
What were some of the hurdles that they had to overcome to press the gas that hard and scale that quickly?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And they're just entering their third year this year, and we're still working with them. So their first year they did $1 million. Second year was 2.9, and then this year their goal is 5. This is just in holiday lights. The first factor for them was simplicity. We talked about it, keeping it simple, only offering a handful of SKUs.
Mhm.
The second one was first year and the second year. Each year they invested 15% of their revenue goal into marketing, and that's including digital ads, Google, Meta, print, so direct mail. They did some billboards. They did some other creative stuff in their market. So they really spent and invested into marketing. And then the third bucket that they really focused on was teams and people. So relentlessly training their staff to execute exceptional operations. And part of that was you wouldn't believe their booked average job size was $1,800. So
Okay.
the average job they booked was $1,800. Now they trained their team so well as part of this third bucket that their average upsell was $500 per job.
Wow. Yeah.
So it started as $1,800 booked, but it finished at $2,300 produced because they trained their team so well, developed such a strong culture that they upsold $500 on average. And the upsells were mainly landscape lighting that they upsold. Some floodlights, some patio bulbs, but mainly landscape lighting. So really, it was simplicity, investing 15% of revenue goal into marketing, training your teams so they're dialed in for exceptional operations with a focus on heavy upsells.
Yeah.
Those three things really got them where they got in the last couple of years.
Okay. Do you know if they were they an existing business like window cleaning company or something that added it?
Power washing, yep,
Okay. So they already had some staff to work with, but
correct,
sure they
yep.
still had to hire and train people quickly to get them, to install that many lights in a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, they had lots of vehicles going, and they most of their staff that was doing power washing They pick their top performers and transition them to holiday lights.
Hmm.
And then for peak season, as we know with holiday lighting, peak season's around Thanksgiving, like the 3 or 4 weeks around Thanksgiving. So they added on some extra staff, and they found those through local like landscapers who were laid off for the winter months or painters. So they supplemented that with seasonal staff. But most of their core crew was the power washers they had for their core business, similar to yourself with window washing, other services you provide, similar to the other listeners or people who are in the academy. They have a core business and they can cross train their guys for holiday lights.
Yeah. Yeah. So that guy, that the company that grew so quickly, I'm trying to phrase this in a really right way, but did they, like, do you know, or can you talk about their mindset to scale really? Because it's like, it's clearly it's available to grow that quickly, but most people don't. So if it's possible, if it's available, most people don't. What are you going to be thinking? How do you have to be looking at it to go, this is happening? We're going a million. We're going 2.9. We're going.
Yeah. I mean, they have such a strong culture of winning and performance. If you go to their head office, it's got graphics and posters on every wall and has their vision, their mission, what their values, like it's just displayed in public, and every team member is aligned on the common mission and common goal of where they're going. And the leadership really leads from the front and shows that culture of winning and performing. So the whole team is aligned on that. I mean, and second, they really think strategically and take the time to plan, look ahead, look at their vision 3 to 5 years out. Where are we going to be? And then make the plan quarterly to make sure they achieve that. But it's really a combination of taking the extra time to plan, which I know is a lot of small business owners don't have the time. I get that.
Yeah.
But when you do make the time, you tend to go miles further than you could if you didn't plan. And then they have that culture of winning and performance, heavily incentivize their team members. Everyone's rowing in the same direction on the same boat. And it's just the culture is just everywhere in their entire organization. And it sounds funny, but they have all the elements of any other successful business. But those are the main two that I've seen from them that I haven't seen in many other businesses, is that relentless focus on those.
Yeah, that's really cool. I was watching, it was Jodie Foster was in an interview, and she's, film, actress, producer, director, everything. And she made the statement that was a little bit shocking, but so true. She said, planning and preparation is the cheapest time you can invest into any project.
Yeah, very true. I
was like, ooh, let's take that to heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this is
fail to plan. I mean, there's so many looking at it, but that's great. Jodie Foster said that. Didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's really good.
It was actually I don't know if you're familiar with masterclass.com. They've got everybody from Bill Clinton to RuPaul teaching something specific, and she was teaching about directing, and that was her admonition, was to
amazing.
Don't waste time, save it by planning and preparation ahead of time.
Well said. Yeah.
So this is you spoke at the Huge convention last year. That was the first year you've been to the Huge, right?
Last year was the second year. So I spoke, I've been there since 2023, so 23, 24, and this year as well. So all 3 years I've ran a speaking session there. Yes. Okay,
good. I'm glad you're coming back. What are you going to be focused on when somebody comes into your breakout session or breakthrough session? What are they, what's the promise? What's the expectation that they're going to walk away with?
Yeah. And really looking forward to speaking there again. Love the community, a huge, great people. And there's lots of holiday lights, Christmas lights vendors there, lots of great conversations to be had. And I just want attendees to share in the perspective that has helped me scale a business quite profitably to $15 million over a few short years. And if there's a few things they're going to walk away from, some of it we've talked in the video, is the simplicity, is the taking yourself out of the day-to-day, focusing on the 30,000 foot view, and picking up some tips and tricks in the industry that can hopefully help them. They don't have to join the academy. It's not something that I'm going to talk about much. I just want to share more success stories about the industry and collectively, so we can all grow the holiday lights industry together.
Yeah, good. It's like holiday lights, like most of our home service industries, it's still really fragmented. There's not, there's not a Chipotle of holiday lights that's in every city yet. I'm sure that's coming. But with the holiday lights, like kind of the state of the industry, where do you, it feels like, because we're looking at all the time, we have our Christmas in August. We've got some holiday light training from 3 different companies on Wednesday before the huge convention. We've got vendors and speakers, and it's becoming more prominent. And a lot of, more companies are popping up. It feels like, oh my God, it's everywhere. And maybe it's too late to join the game. I don't believe that's true for holiday lighting, but what do you see in the industry at large? What's the trend and trajectory?
Yeah, and it does feel like it's everywhere. And there's, so many vendors popping up and training providers and companies getting into it. Seems like many of us know a company getting into it in our market. But if you look at the data, and we still have to keep in mind that most of the lighting industry is still DIY, meaning that homeowners still go to Home Depot or Lowe's or Walmart, get their own lights and put it up themselves. Even though it may not be the conversations we're having with our peers, it's still most of the industry out there. So the pie is only getting bigger and bigger every year. So the competitors we see, the more noise we see at Huge and others from holiday lights companies and Christmas lights companies, training providers or vendors, the pie is getting bigger and bigger every year. So there's a huge market still out there, even though we see more and more of it coming out. So we're not battling for the same customer or for the same, it's the pie is getting bigger and there's more customers being created every year because it's being professionalized and switching from DIY to a professional service. So I'd say even though we see so many people getting into it, there's too much work out there. We won't get to it all this year because the demand happens in such a short time and we can't possibly all service it.
Yeah.
So it's just still getting bigger and bigger every year, and welcome new faces, new training providers, new vendors, because it's much needed in the industry and it's just going to continue growing every year.
Yeah, for sure. About 8 or 10 years ago, my mom had called me and she's like, Sid, I saw this article in a magazine. This company in Dallas, installed $4 million worth of holiday lights on houses. You need to get in holiday lights. And I was like, I was very resistant. I'm like, Mom, I'm busy. Sounds like one extra thing. And she hounded me for a while. And I'm like, okay, well, here's what I did and what I didn't do. What I didn't do was get any kind of training or find out anything. What I did was send a message to my existing client base and said, hey, if you've got holiday lights, we'll put them up for you. And it was a horrible thing to do because imagine all the DIY, like everybody's got boxes of garbage lights that they bought at Walmart 2 years ago in their garage and like pulling all this stuff out. It's all tangled. It's all messed. Half of it doesn't work. Half of it works. And then I use that as validation to say, see, this doesn't work. This is terrible. And I hated every minute of it. We did about 10 houses. I'm like, I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
And it, unfortunately, when I started seeing holiday light installation come on board with like professional lighting, professional materials, let's do the thing. I had a dim view of it, which cost me, 4 solid years of actually doing the business and helping people and enjoying that additional revenue and profit. So I feel like a heel by forming having an uninformed opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's our own, we get in our own way, and it's our opinions or our experiences get in our own way. And like, even going back to your question earlier about the company who had $1 million in their first year, 3 million in their second year, and looking to do 5 this year, they don't let themselves get in their own way. Like the sky's the limit. And a lot of times our own thinking is our barrier to our success. And like your experience with, and I've done that too, Sid, where 2015 installed a customer's lights. It was their lights, the old incandescent bulbs. Every time you drop them, they pop and shatter. Yeah. It was like a $300 job. Took me 2 days. I'm like, this isn't going to work. This industry is doomed to fail. This can't happen. And that was my thinking after that day. But then took myself out of it, looked at what went wrong. And from then on, the rule was never, ever install a customer's lights for them. It always has to be our lights that we're installing. You know that, but we didn't know that back then. So you just sometimes got to get out of your own way, and it's okay to say no to some customers too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. We have one of our anchor customer. They've got this beautiful fir tree or something that's out. They live out in the woods, and there's this one tree, and it's like 300 feet from their house. They want that one tree lit. And the first time I did it, it was like, well, it's not a big deal because I just used an extension pole, wrapped it up, looked real good. And now the thing, it's grown 20 feet since the first time I did it. And now it's become like, now it's a whole project, but we shifted to professional quality lights and stopped trying to be a hack and like actually rent a boom lift and bring it out and put it up. And the first year we did it last Christmas, the first time we did it professionally with real lights. And it's obscene how much more beautiful. It's like it looked good before, but it was a showstopper actually doing it well.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is good. So I think with you, like there's so much opportunity for anybody that's thinking of getting in holiday lights, like do a little homework, get the proper training so that you're not making uninformed, opinions like I did, and like actually do it right. When you're talking about the other company, they don't let themselves get in their own way. I think, for especially for the smaller guys, like empty your cup, get it filled by a pro and run with it. Just go. If the instructions are do XYZ, just do XYZ. Don't throw in the whole alphabet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said.
What else would you like to share before we roll off of here?
I think, for those listening, and I think we shared a lot, and looking forward to the huge convention. I love having conversations with business owners, and whether it's myself or John Mark or someone else on our team, just love chatting with business owners, growing the holiday lights industry in general. So come find us. Love to have a chat, and feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or through our website. Always keen to meet more business owners.
Okay, I forgot to put this in. I showed the website, but I'm going to stick it in the comments.
Yeah, appreciate that. Website, holidaylightsacademy.com is great, or on LinkedIn.
I typed it wrong, so I'm going to change that. There's an S in there. Hold on. I'm such a fat-fingered dork. I can do this better. Now I'm paranoid about misspelling it. Holiday Lights Academy. I can't tell if I spelled it right. Tell me if this is right. That's Holiday Lights Academy.
Why don't I see it? I don't see it yet.
Oh, you don't see the comments popping up? Okay. Holiday Lights Academy. Okay, it's correct. I'm going to remove the
holidaylightsacademy.com. Holiday Lights Academy.
Yeah, it's plural, lights.
Or Holiday Lights Academy. Academy. Oh, looks like Academy. Almost did.
I can't believe it. Let's do better. I can't leave without doing it right. Holiday Lights. This is too funny. Academy. This is why they never let me make the slides for a PowerPoint. ACA DMY.
Academy DMY. Less the D, yeah.
Okay. And there.
holidaylightsacademy.com. You got it. Nice. That's awesome. We got there.
Woo! Okay. Yeah, that's right. You learn from your mistakes, improve as you go along. It's all part of the journey.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you, and I'm really glad you're back again teaching. You guys, will you also have a booth on the trade show floor?
We will. Yeah.
Floor? Okay.
Yeah. We'll have lots of products and lights, and come check it out. We'll be in the Christmas light section.
Excellent. Excellent. Do you have anybody on your team who's going to dress like Grinch or Santa or an elf? We do anything?
Probably
like
not.
that?
I mean, I'd have to convince John Mark, but we'll see. He'd be a tall Santa, but maybe we can convince him.
He would be a classic elf with a mustache, hat. I love it. All right. Well, it's good to see you again, Paul. And I'll see you. It's actually only 5 weeks from today.
Oh,
we kick off the main stage. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait. Yeah. Looking forward to it. I appreciate you having me on here.
You bet. All right. We'll see you then.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.